Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the forces of Coconut Wireless become the heavyweight champions of Eternum. And the Redemption Arc Dodgers capture the spice production facilities of First Light, returning the Marauders' presence to the island. KOTT News crews were on the scene live last night, and you can see that now on KOTT News Classic. KOTT News spoke with Dodgers leadership at the fort as they secured the keep. Warlord Hibby, congratulations on your victory here in First Light over the contagious members of Gone Green. Are you feeling up to the being able to interview?
John, I think I'm just going to hop on out of here, grab a thing of carrots, and just enjoy the rest of my night. Somebody special has something that they would like to say, so I'm just going to let them take over.
Oh, okay, thank you. Yes, sir, thank you. Who's somebody else available? Yes. Oh, Def Not Ben. Yes, sir. Do you have something you might like to say? You have a statement.
JChalant, I just want to say hello. I'm so glad to be back and part of KOTV News again. I've missed it so much. And, speaking of legacy leadership of the Dodgers in a time where we've won First Light, I wanted to, on behalf of the rest of my company members, read a short poem we wrote about our former governor, Huang Zhang. So, excuse my illiteracy, but here it goes. Under the blue sky, his name is renowned, unmatched in valor. His fame echoes throughout time. Unwavering in his determination, unyielding in his resolve. Huang Zhang, a general whose name shines bright. All eyes are fixed upon him as he takes to the battlefield, fighting with the ferocity of the tiger style, with the blood of dragons flowing through his veins, and moving with the agility of a springtime sparrow. Brandishing his legendary weapon, the heaven-piercing halberd, he is fearless, victorious in countless battles. His name etched in history. Huang Zhang, a hero whose name will be forever remembered.
The Marauders celebrated their return to the island by hosting a Forged in Fire rave on the deck of the First Light ship. Many of the participants had already fallen victim to the rabid rabbit head syndrome. KOTT News will continue to bring you more on this story as it develops. In Everfall, the new heavyweight champions of Eternum returned quickly to their locker rooms, preparing themselves mentally for the task of defending 3 regions going forward. Just one solitary line for last night's bingo attempt, but we'll get them next time for sure. Yet another submission for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Tonight, the Marauders of Redemption Arc Dodgers attack the syndicate members of Commit for the northern observation posts of Morningdale. Well rested after taking over the abandoned rabbit-infested fort in First Light, Redemption Arc Dodgers take on the first battle arc tonight in the north. Commit forces had the night off last night, except for a few Forged in Fire rave participants, but will be just as rested and ready to defend the rain-drenched mountain region. We'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the history of Eternum last night as the syndicate members of Commit maintain control of the forward observation posts of Morningdale. KOTT News were on the scene last night in Greyvale and spoke with one of the participants about the fight. Congratulations on your victory out here in Morningdale, getting it done, holding them to only one objective take. Would you care to take us through how it went down for you out there?
Yeah, right. They came out pretty hard onto the 3-point side. We kind of expected that to happen. We were definitely bracing for something along those lines. Everyone calm, just saying, hold. That's what we decided. That's the 3-point. Let's not break position. Everyone was being very solid, very stoic, right? Unknown Rider was posted up right in the middle, holding shield. We told everyone to get behind him. He knew exactly what to do. And after they got that point, honestly, I don't remember what happened after that. But, I want to say they did come out fighting. Their kill squad was pretty solid. Their bow's pretty solid. I noticed a lot of these guys that are over there in that roster were from Fresh Start. So shout out Isabella. Shout out my Isabellians. You know, I know a lot of these guys came over. This is their first war on LD.
Looking at the post-game scoreboards, and it has become clear that members of the Fire Staff Union simply can't help themselves. Turning to our ongoing coverage of the rabid rabbit-head infestation, infected numbers in Greyvale appear to be stable at 50%. Returning to our ongoing investigation into the rabid rabbit-head infestation, KOTT News dove into the depths to interrogate Captain Thorpe about it, but he claims to know nothing. Last night's effort to achieve a bingo resulted in a lowercase t, as in tango. Leave a comment below if you've had a tango card too. An unusual weathered pattern tonight after a perfectly normal afternoon of sunshine for all your rabid rabbit-head hunting, as the island takes a turn away from its static weather pattern for a 40% chance of scattered corruption invasion later on tonight. 4 lineup submissions for simulated fantasy combat resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. First up, the Marauders of Redemption Arc Dodgers assail the Covenant forces of Error.pxp for control of the island's secondary oil reserves of Cutlass Keys. Redemption Arc Dodgers attempt to secure the entire southern peninsula, but will the general, whose name shines bright like the sunrise from the west, return? Error.pxp has been focusing their attention on practicing all phases of battle, but will they be able to maintain their focus whilst distracted by carrots? Then, the Marauders of Destroyers assault the syndicate members of Commit for control of the island's master fishing port town of Reekwater. The Destroyers have heard the rumors of a new highway suspension bridge being planned in Far Harbor, but they don't like it when things get built, so they're here to ensure that doesn't happen. The syndicate members of Commit have spent months planning a new and improved single beam design that will even include a stone milling system, and best of all, it's temporary and redeployable. Meanwhile, the Marauders of Let Us Cook attack the Covenant converts of Coconut Wireless for control of the bear-infested deep forests of Brightwood. Familiar faces are scattered amongst the trees of the forest, peering out through the leaves, preparing for one of 2 scouting missions against one of 2 great houses. Coconut Wireless, with the luxury of a complete roster available to them, will be able to decide exactly how much of their defense they want to expose, controlling their 3 regions. Also, the Marauders of Let Us Cook assault the Covenant hero worshippers of Kai's Kitchen for Crown and Kingdom of the Western Monarch's Bluff. In the doubleheader, Let Us Cook come to the Western Bluff and demand their own Shokugeki. But will this culinary specialist unit be able to prepare a full course for the kingdom? Kai's Kitchen will also be able to decide its destiny tonight. But as always, the hotline to their hero on telephone standby will be ready to go just in case. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night, as all 4 factional forces managed to maintain control of their respective regions. KOTT News were on the scene throughout the night, starting in Cutlass Keys with some citizens who just arrived.
You can notice by my yellow attire that I have a fondness for yellow dyes, and yellow dyes are found here in Cutlass Keys. So I'm very glad that the war resolved as it did. I do feel bad for Green. I feel like the Marauders do need places to call their own themselves. But I'm just really glad it was us and not them tonight.
Moments later, Error.pxp leadership hopped up the steps of City Hall to say a few words. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Would you care to comment on tonight's fight?
You know, it was beautiful. We prevented a fort fight, which for us is absolutely amazing. And yeah.
I can't help but notice that the rabbit infections are a little high here. Are you guys feeling all right? Anybody here have an excessive desire to eat carrots?
Look. I promote the use of the shift key, and you know,
Where'd you go?
what better way to do it than be a rabbit while you're hopping around?
KOTT News were on the scene in Brightwood, getting shots of the payouts, when a pack of rabbit heads started showing up on the streets. Evacuating to Monarch's Bluff, KOTT spoke with a representative of Kai's Kitchen about their victory on the bluff. Congratulations on your victory here in Monarch's Bluff. They did get inside fort face with about 15 minutes left, but you held the fort. Congratulations. Would you care to take us through it?
Yeah, man. It was pretty interesting war. I think it took them like 10 minutes to take us to fort. Kind of shocked though, because I got exposed outside fort phase, you know, on point phase. So shout out to them. They did really good war. But you know, with Panda Uchiha, all things are possible. I'm pretty sure I read that in the Bible once. So shout out Panda. You know, we couldn't have done it without him, man. And I'm looking forward to running it back, man. We got to run it back.
Well, I noticed that you're not rabbit infested in the rabbit head. Are you out there trying to get a rabbit head and a rabbit foot locker?
No, I'm allergic to like everything, so I'm good off that, man.
Speaking of allergies, in a few days the spring festival will begin, so do make sure you get your Sudafed and Benadryl ready for that. News out of Windsward as the North Gate of Corinth serves as temporary housing for settlers from Isabella beginning to arrive. The temporary housing for the new refugees were deployed by the regional governing syndicate members of JDB's Kitchen. Great houses of all factions are welcome to attend sparring matches and introduce yourselves to the new arrivals. Returning to our ongoing coverage of the Season 1 experience, last night was a bingo! Leave a comment below if you've had a bingo. Turning to the weather for today, and it's going to be a beautiful sunny day all afternoon long. Then be on the lookout for a comfortable evening with only a 10% chance of invasion later in the night. Another submission for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Tonight, the Covenant converts of Kai's Cooks assail the Syndicate members of Commit for control of the barely controllable Restless Shore. Kai's Cooks going for 4, like some sort of restaurant promotional menu plan. But what plan do they have beyond expanding from coast to coast of the island? Commit forces have converged into their central regional holding, and they're confident in their ability to focus their efforts into a full defense at the top of the hill. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night, despite a last-minute push that got the flag to 75% in Restless Shore. KOTT News were on the scene in Moon Bay, but the Syndicate members of Commit were nowhere to be seen. Returning to our ongoing coverage of the Season 1 track, last night's bingo card was a re-roll dud. Leave a comment if you've re-rolled for nothing before. KOTT News would like to inform its subscribers and those who are about to be that we'll be down at the ballpark tonight, so post-war reactions may be late. Looking at the weather for tonight, and it's going to be another beautiful day of sunshine for most of the afternoon. Then be on the lookout throughout the evening as invasion forces will scatter themselves across 30% of the island. For more roster submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. First up, the Syndicate members of JDB's Kitchen attack the Covenant converts of Coconut Wireless for control of the resort destination of Ebonscale Reach. JDB's Kitchen began the pushback against the overzealous group of Covenant by returning to the bamboo forest preserves of the medicinal hot springs. Coconut Wireless, split between 2 fights tonight, have to decide where they want to put their varsity squad. If KOTT news crews weren't down at Chasefield tonight, this is where I'd be. Meanwhile, the Marauders of Gorilla Town challenge the champs of Coconut Wireless for their heavyweight title and the right to rule over Everfall. The not-so-newcomers of Gorilla Town step into the ring to assert themselves into the region for longevity bragging rights. But will this sparring match be taken seriously? After their own capture of the championship belt last time, Coconut Wireless know all too well the decision-making process that goes into focusing a Neverfall run. But will they make that decision tonight? Also, the Marauders of Iron Reavers assault the Covenant hero worshippers of Kai's Kitchen for control of the island's primary oil reserves of Weaver's Fen. Iron Reavers slog into the peat moss bog of the Fen, anxious to challenge the residing converts at their full potential. But have they practiced enough to capture the flag? Kai's Kitchen, sitting stable with only one region to defend tonight, will be able to focus all their efforts into defending what they have for a full 30 minutes. In the nightcap, the Covenant forces of Error.pxp assail the Marauders of Disbanding Dodgers for control of First Light and the flow of the spice. The rabid rabbit-headed infestation of the southern peninsula seems unavoidable at this point. Citizens are advised to avoid all unnecessary travel into First Light until further notice. It appears that the Dodgers have also become infected by the rabid rabbit head virus and may be dealing with a short-handed roster as well as they go through organizational transition. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as all 4 factional forces flip out over territory control. KOTT News were late on the scene, despite realizing early that Cattell Marte was playing a frustrated game, breaking in a new glove. Congratulations on your victory here in Weaver Fen, getting through the peat moss bog of the Fen, and now you are the champions. How do you feel the fight went out there tonight?
Both sides struggled to get the full 50 rosters slotted, but thank you to Outcast for at least giving it their best shot. It was a pretty intense war, all things considered. They were hitting us pretty hard with the repeaters and turrets.
Was there anybody out there who really stood out in their performance on the battlefield here for you guys tonight?
I think his name was Poseidon. He was a level 21 that got the random luck of the draw and got slotted in. He performed very well despite his low level, so big shout out to him wherever he's at now.
KOTT News were also able to catch up with Error leadership after their quarantine of the Southern Peninsula. Congratulations on your victory out here in First Light. Now you are the reigning Spice Lords of the island. What do you plan to do with the Hyssop and Spice production facilities?
Well, once again, as last time I said, now we control First Light, we're going to be smuggling all of them spices through Reekwater and up to the hobos in Morningdale.
Indeed. Are you finding that the rabbit-headed infestation virus is making any problems out there for the production and cultivation of the spice and hyssop?
They're eating it all, so it's non-existent right now. But I hear that spring is just around the corner and the flowers are going to all pop back up. It's going to allow us to get more spice.
KOTT News would like to alert its subscribers and those who are about to be that the Springtide Bloom event is now ongoing. Be sure to come by the emulated milling station to pick up your joyous gift, available to all factions in all hamlets today, even in Reekwater, where all eyes are on the newly remodeled, retractable, and fully redeployable highway suspension bridge. We hope. And don't forget to stop by the Springtide villages scattered across Eternum, where you can receive delightful gift sacks daily. KOTT News will bring you an exclusive behind-the-scenes interview from the event coordinator tonight at 11. Last night left little time for bingo chasing, so even I will take a quick card to get started on a more hopeful tomorrow. Turning to the weather, and it's a wonderful day of sunshine with a cool breeze in the air for those of you without allergies. As for me, well, I'll be on the lookout for invasion corruption forces rising up across 30% of the island later tonight. No submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by Springtide's Bloom, but we'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night, as you might expect after an evening of peace. Antsy members of the citizenry were practicing their pillar-humping techniques outside the north gates of Corinth in order to make sure their PvP skills stayed sharp. Returning to our ongoing coverage of the Springtide Bloom event, KOTT News have uncovered some shocking news about the event organizers. More on that story at 11. An unusual occurrence on last night's bingo attempt as a re-roll resulted in duplicate activities from the previous roll locking out. KOTT News will bring you more on this story as it develops. Quickly to the weather, and once more another day of sunshine and pollen blowing throughout the breeze all day long. Then thankfully, after sundown and the winds calm down, we'll only have to deal with a 40% chance of corruption invasion across the island. 4 roster submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPCO. Remember, if it isn't LARPCO, it is cardboard. First up, the Marauders of Emotional Damage assail the Covenant forces of Error.pxp for control of the island's secondary oil reserves of Cutlass Keys. Emotional damage, putting their pressure on this foe they have gone back and forth with before. If they have been continuing to improve, the CEOs of Beijing Corn may have become unstoppable. Under cover of the Springtide Bloom, Error.pxp have been hard at work smuggling the spice in hyssop through Reekwater into Morningdale for the hobos. But are they too distracted to defend the keys? Then the syndicate members of Commit attack the Covenant converts of Coconut Wireless for control of the bear-infested deep forests of Brightwood. Commit forces in the middle of a double declare on both sides of the ball, as it were. But will they field a full team of force or simply scout out the woods? Coconut Wireless, down to a single region, can focus their attention entirely on how they plan on defending it, counting on the offense coming with all they have to bear. Meanwhile, the Marauders of Destroyers assault the syndicate members of Commit for control of the northern observation posts of Morningdale. Destroyers, forcing themselves into a double declare tonight, may be spreading themselves a bit thin, but if everyone has enough to handle 2 rosters at the same time, why not? Commit on defense in Morningdale may prioritize their offensive efforts in the central corridor, but yielding the forward observation post means no short notice warnings on large-scale invasions. Also, the Marauders of Destroyers attack the Covenant hero worshippers of Outcasts for Crown and Kingdom of the Western Monarch's Bluff. In their other fight of the time slot, Destroyers' forces facing off against an undivided Outcast crew. But will brute strength empower them to victory? Outcast will be able to decide how they fill their roster at the last minute tonight. But with only one fight for the evening, they may only be here for the hour. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the forces of Commit re-secure the bear-infested northern forest of Brightwood. And the Marauders of Destroyers march into the mountains and claim the northern observation posts of Morningdale. KOTT news crews tried to get a word in edgewise with the excited, rabbit-headed victors. The I, JChalant, KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. Would you care to say a few comments about tonight's fight?
They put up a good fight. Not too bad.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a little bit too much for them, though, I suppose you were. Was there anybody on your roster who really stood out in their performance tonight?
Team effort. It's not one person.
Everybody stood out. Everybody stood out, huh? That's excellent. Well, I see that you're a little infested by the rabbit head virus. Are you going to be able to take care of things here in the hamlet? Do you have any plans for the hamlet?
Nope. What up?
Just Marauder's going to maraud, right?
Oh yeah, baby.
No interview out of Brightwood, but the live coverage of the battle can now be seen on KOTT Classic. Earlier in Cutlass Keys, Error Leadership gave us a brief word about their fight.
Well, the fight was definitely a lot of fun. Lots of clumps, You know, nice grab wells and some detonates, and yeah, we had fun. Hopefully they had fun as well. We got down to 10 minutes, let them into fort so they can get some fort practice, and I think overall a great war. Hopefully all sides had fun.
Oh, thank you, my friend. And did anybody stand out in their performance tonight?
Yeah, I would like to say that one of our new joiners, Mr. Aloris Wren, who goes way back, he was out there having a good old time, so give a shout out to him.
As the night wound down, Outcast forces called it a night on the western bluff, but not before taking us through their fight. Hey, congratulations on your hold, maintaining one outer objective at the very end. Would you care to take us through how the fight went out there?
Yeah, absolutely, John. No, we went in there hoping that it would be a little bit more competitive fight. We marked out 25 other companies, but we actually rolled through them pretty hard, and we held them as we wanted to. So, like sheep at a gate, you just control them, don't let them out.
Shepherd them to where you wanted them to be, and in doing so, was there anybody in particular who was really your sheepdog tonight?
I mean, you know who it is, the number one sheepdog on Aeternum. It's got to be Panda Ichiya, so absolute savage and the shepherd, number one.
Returning to our ongoing coverage of the Season 1 pass, last night's bingo attempt fell just a little short, but we'll get them next time. Looking at the weather, and it's going to be a long day of fighting off hay fever and wasps if you want to gather petals. But after sundown, it should get a little easier, with only a 10% chance of corruption invasion from the north. 2 more submissions for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPCO. Remember, if it isn't LARPCO, it's cardboard. First up, the Covenant forces of Error.pxp assail the Syndicate members of Commit for control of the master fishing port town of Reekwater. Error leadership have made no bones about their plans for Reekwater, but if they want to make the most profit, they're gonna have to cut out the middlemen. The Syndicate members of Commit have been the only ones to work with the Reekwater Union of Fishermen to ensure safety and sustainability, and they'll fight to preserve that. Then, the Covenant hero worshippers of Outcasts challenge the champs of Gorilla Town for their championship title and the right to rule over Everfall. Coming to stop the Marauder Neverfall run before it begins, Outcast forces step up to give us a sincere fight for the heavyweight championship belt. Gorilla Town have made the big move to stand out as the Marauder representative for heavyweight champion of Aeternum, but how will their title run begin? Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News.